Hey, Robbie.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Good, good. So I wanted to ask you, so if we go all the way to the beginning, like before we met,
hmm
what were you doing before then? What problem were you trying to solve? Like what were you trying? What were your frustrations?
so yeah, I mean, I was curious about getting into UX, and the problem that I was, trying to solve was just how could I best transition, from my current, uh, career to a career into UX. It was all the buzz in the market was like, all these different programs going around, and different offerings and different ways of learning. And so my biggest concern was I wanted to transfer out of teaching the career that I was in and into UX, but do it in a way where it wouldn't really jeopardize my current career as a teacher. So,
Hmm.
I was ultimately seeking out something that was able to fit into my schedule.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, okay, so that makes sense. So how did you actually first hear about BeginX program and what got you interested?
Um, yeah, so it was probably, well, I mean, over 2 years ago or so. I was at a hackathon, like an empathy jam,
Hmm.
and you were there. You were one of the sponsors at the empathy jam, and you had gave a little talk about BeginX and the program at the beginning, and then went through the jam, and it was a great success. And then you get talked about it again. You gave a little extra incentive for all the participants, which helped out a little. Yeah, helped out, but also followed up with you afterwards, and went to a couple different meetup groups and offerings that you had info sessions about the course,
Hmm.
and comparing your course with the other offerings that were being offered around. It just seemed it was like the best fit for what I was looking for, as far as financially, as far as schedule wise. I mean, most importantly for me was the schedule,
Hmm.
just because of like my heavy workload already, and then being able to take this course at night, and then meet up with the team members, around our free time that we had outside. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell me a bit more. Why did you decide to apply? And when you actually got accepted, why did you enroll into the program?
Yeah, so like I said, like it was a really good fit as far as like what your program was offering, what I was looking for. So I was looking for more of a deeper dive into the UX process, and also getting experience actually fulfilling that process from end to end. And then not only that, but getting a lot of like FaceTime with clients, being able to have that presentation aspect. That was a pretty big seller point, and just being able to use the project that we had in class like directly into a portfolio,
Hmm.
and then having like thinking really far in the future was like potentially when I was applying for jobs, like um, you know pr- uh, the hiring managers would be able to look up that company and actually find a real company, instead of like kind of passion projects where some other programs might offer. This was more of like a real client and a real impact that we were doing. So kind of like all those things in the right bucket, was like a good decision for me. There's the way more positives from your program for the other ones, and so that's why I ultimately decided to go through with it.
Hmm. Hmm. So tell me a bit more, the process of going through the program. Describe that in a bit more detail.
All right, so um, the process itself was, I feel like when I first started off, I had a pretty good understanding, a 101 UX 101 kind of knowledge base, as far as like different pieces that like I understand what UX research was, but maybe not all the different methodologies. Understood key terms in there, understood as far as like ideation and design,
Hmm.
what kind of methodologies fit underneath there, inside each one of those buckets, and different terms that go along with that. But I didn't really have a ton of experience actually like really flushing out like, let's say, user interviews or different ideation techniques, or actually spending a ton of time making like a meaningful project through like sketching in wireframes and low fidelity, high fidelity, and prototyping. So like I don't really have that experience. So, it was really good for me to kind of really see a project from end to end. And all throughout that time, doing a lot of like collaboration with like the client, with different team members, and really being able to kind of maximize like the offerings that you had. um, a lot of it was definitely like the FaceTime with the client and being able to like really have like those meaningful conversations and trying to solve like the problems that they were really having.
Okay, that's good. That makes sense. So when you actually went through it, and what results did you actually achieve from going through the program?
Well, it definitely brought out a lot more confidence. One of the things, like I said, like I was looking for more, kind of like a public speaking, and presentation skills on top of, like learning more about the UX methodologies and parts of the process. Like that was kind of high on my list, just because I knew that's such a important piece of being a UX designer, is being able to present your work. So I really wanted to know how I could best approach talking about my work, and like, kind of pitching for feedback, like almost like requesting feedback in those sense. So I think that was really successful. Also, like the case study, at the end, along the way, we really documented our whole process from the beginning to end, with like, from the research methods, with different video clips, photography, or photos of like different things, paper artifacts of all our chicken scratch and notes and sketches, and crumpled up pieces of paper of like our piles of trash that weren't such good ideas, but you gotta show the ugly too, and then through the wireframes, had kept all these artifacts in a way that like once it came time to make the case study, it was, it definitely wasn't easy, but it was easier just because we kind of had like a timeline. When I say we, it was like, definitely a team effort with our team, and like, we all made our own case studies, but, definitely talked about all the different steps, just because I feel like in some of these kind of cases, like, the time just goes by so fast, so it's hard to like really digest all the information right away. But yeah, it took, sorry about that.
No worries, it's New York.
It
It
is New
happens.
York. So somebody's getting greeted nicely, hopefully. But yeah, so the process, definitely in the end left with like a successful like case study, and also it gave me a lot more confidence as far as like public speaking goes and presenting.
So then how long did it take? So you got hired, not right away, of course, right? But what was the process afterwards? So did you actually, because you were able to obtain a role, right? But it still took you some effort.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, after the program was done, I definitely continued, working on my resume, working on my portfolio. One of the strategies that we were using at the end of the program, after the program, you offer like the weeks of kind of like career prep and readiness, and so use that as like a springboard and like build a foundation of like, okay, what do I really need, and how can I get there? And so used my portfolio as like a UX project in itself. Did a lot of like kind of like mini usability tests and user interviews on like, is this what people are really wanting? Do I have too many words on my page? Because I like to write. So like, where can I scale down and like, provide a good experience for people that like to skim portfolios, versus ones that like, really want to dive in and dig into like your thought process, kind of give them the best of both worlds. So like people that really want to dive in, give them an opportunity to do that. But the ones that don't, just skim and look at all the pretty images. So with that, on top of just like a ton of networking and a lot of coffee, interviews, and just really like networking a lot,
Mhm.
like almost every day. For about 2 months, definitely, sacrificed the whole summer, but in the end, it was worth it because the fall brought a brand new job, and I'm still there. So, I mean, it could have been, it was definitely worth, sitting inside on 90 degrees sunny beach days, and sweating inside instead of sweating outside. So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. So you kind of did like pretty much what we have now as a part of the program, right? Because I think back then we mostly focused on skill building and experience building.
Yep.
We don't have as much career prep as we have now.
Yeah.
Now there's like much more accountability component and jobs, and career prep and support afterwards, et cetera, et cetera. So that's cool. So tell us, how likely are you to recommend beginners? Why should someone take action right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel, I got a lot of really good things out of the program. I met a lot of other really, talented individuals in the same path that I was, different parts of their journey, but and had a lot of good positive experiences from that, and I would definitely recommend it to and do to most anyone I talk about. How did you get into UX? I know this guy that has a program, and it's really, really good.
All
Um,
right, Robbie. Thank you so much again. Thanks. I appreciate your time.
yeah, of course. Have a good one.